when privacy gets breached, it gets distributed to different websites.
Yeah.
So what relation should be strong with the cybersecurity with the entrepreneur company in order to maintain the privacy breach of the customer's privacy?
So you're asking this from a customer's point of view or a company point of view?
A company point of view. What relation should he make or should it make with the cybersecurity in order to keep the customers' personal data safe?
Actually, the people that breach customers.
Because Truecaller have recently aired on the news because it has completely contacts and it is accessing all the bank loans and it providing loans, websites and advertisements. So in order to grab it, what it?
If you don't mind, I can answer.
Yes, sir. Sure.
So basically, what you are telling about is cyber security,
yes.
right?
When we want to install an app, we give complete access to all the contacts, gallery, calendar, even.
Yeah.
So
you are telling that your question is like
what
privacy is getting hampered
sir.
because of you are logging into various number of sites. Let it be MBA for the instance. So basically, all these policies are being made currently. You will be seeing those things like draft policy for cyber security is in make. So all these things is what a country does. So when the policies are in place, you will be finding it that these scams are getting reduced day by day. So going back 3-4 years back, you would have seen that there was a lot of phishings over phone calls and all. So right now the government has able to curb it to some extent, but going forward we will be also seeing that yes, cyber security is which is of the topmost concern right now. We'll be having such policies in place.
So in order to make safety payments, in order to for the safety of the customers.
Recently you have seen that these NBFCs like Slice, OneCard and all these are going over a overall makeover of their policies because of the RBI's regulation which was introduced currently recently. So so this is how the policies progress. Innovations comes in, after that people use it, few people misuse it, and this misuse part has to be regulated by a policy which then is drafted, and after a consultation of a large group, it is being enforced throughout the country. So probably you in few more years you will be seeing all those things. And as an entrepreneur, I would suggest that yes, if you see a loophole over here, you work on it and how to make it more robust, like how this cybersecurity can be more robust. You can give up there will be a n number of solutions after the policy comes in. But as an entrepreneur, you have to just solve one big problem and get the money out of it. Simple.
Thank you, sir.
I would just like to add this point. So a lot of this privacy and data breach words are going around and taking a few rounds. I want to just help you understand that no company will purposely data breach its customers, right? No company wants to do that. If I have a list of 50,000 pet owners, I don't want to leak their data for somebody else to have them. You need to understand this is a whole technical ecosystem, right? And all these apps are connected. Now Facebook has 4 apps. Your entire social media is under control with Facebook. So do you think Facebook is not going to pass information from one app to the other? Of course it is. Because it's their own ecosystem of customers and pool of products that Facebook has, right? So please understand that data breach, actually the word data breach is actually something else, but the data privacy that we're talking about, it's the data sharing. It happens in order to provide best experience to the customers. It's not that we are leaking our data and we're taking your payment details and just leaving it out on Google for people to access. The privacy data is shared between apps and between application websites is because to show you the best marketing content. For the AI to understand what you like, for the AI to throw ads at you of what you like. It's not purposely. It's not something that the companies get any advantage for, like, right? I have your data. I can't do anything with your data apart from showing you right ads and apart from telling you about what I have new in my stock and what is new arrivals, what is restocking and all of that. So essentially, it's a pool of technical products that kind of rotate your information one another for you to have the best experience. Right now, if you're a girl, say, and you like, say, for example, let's say you like strawberries, and would you like seeing an ad of the best strawberries from Mahabaleshwar, or would you like to have bananas from Nagpur? Strawberries, right? And how does the system understand that you strawberries and not bananas. The system understands because of what you're doing. That's because of that privacy that you're talking about. That it is because the system understands and the AI learns what you like and what you don't like, and that's how it throws. So it's all for your better user experience. Of course there are people, there are scammers in the industry that kind of take, like how Sourav was talking about the telecalling issues and all of that. There, of course, scams have been happening everywhere, but essentially the data protection is so that these scams don't happen and for the companies to use your data, wisely. It's and to not kind of interfere. Like for example, you must have heard talks ki, now if you talk about something, say if you talk about a pair of jeans right now, you will start seeing ads of jeans. It's still for us to figure out how that's happening, right? But it is happening. It's a fact. I'm pretty sure it must have happened with most of the people. It's only so that you get the best experience on their social media app or whatever it is. So it's for the whatever has been done for the customers. Of course, there are some people somewhere doing the wrong things, and it's going to happen in every industry. You can't stop that, but you can limit it with all the kind of new protection plans that are coming in place. So that's all I would like to say. Don't view it in a point wherein it's breach, it's this and that, because it's not. It's essentially your information is being utilized to serve you better. Because if I don't have information about you, I will not be able to serve you the best, right? Your mom must be giving you your best meals because she knows what you like. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I feel like that's just a data breach is being used as a word wherein कोई भी app में आप details डालो और वो breach हो जाएगा. It's not really like that. It's for the customer. It's for the user. The company does not really get anything in having. Has Facebook ever charged your card for no reason? No. Has Instagram ever done that? No. They will not do it. But they know for a fact कि आप next time जब आप खरीदने जाओ आपका card details saved हो. You don't have to type that whole thing. So understand what they are trying to do here. They are trying to make your life easy, rather than taking your information and leaking out in public. So,
but sometimes due to some bug errors, it gets breached.
Of course. So it's technical bugs will happen here and there, but I'm just trying to tell you that that's not the bottom line of what the company is actually thinking. But those things happen. What you're saying?
So are the companies responsible for it?
The companies
will take the responsibility of that bug errors.
Absolutely, the company is responsible for the bug errors, but no third party can be responsible for any kind of technical bug on the company's app. That's what the company has to do. They have to clear their bugs, and they should not have any kind. A lot of times, the bugs that are there. Again, if you're anybody technical, you would understand that it's not anything got to do with human interference. Sometimes bugs happen because it's a technical product. So we understand the fact that what you're talking about is absolutely right, that those things happen. And in case that happens, that is on the company, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for such a good question. And is there any other question? Yeah, probably.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. So it's not a question basically, I just want to know each one of your perspective around what I'm going to present. This is just a statistics. So we can start with Rajesh sir. Like in the past couple of years, we can see the number of unicorns been rising rapidly in India. So I mean the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem in India, I guess somewhat has been changed. The term startup, the meaning of startup has somewhat changed from running a business or earning profit. It has changed into raising the amount of funds. What is the number of funds you can raise? Be it VC funding, be it Series A, B, C, whatnot. So I just want to know your perspective around this, because once after raising some funds, instead of focusing more on the product, what happens is the startups, they get distracted into the branding. Getting the brand ambassadors, spending a lot of amounts on the branding and marketing side, but at the same time they get distracted from focusing on the product. There has been instances where the startups, they grew they raise so much of funds, they finally become public, they raise their IPO, but they forgot to run their business. Right? This is an instance what has happened. So I just want to know your perspective around this, and what are the steps that can be taken so that that awareness around running a startup or running a business can be raised in India especially. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. See, recently we have crossed UK in our GDP rate. Okay. So we wanted to still move ahead on the ladder. Wanted to move to the second place, or maybe if everything goes fine, the first place. One thing that we realized as a country is the only way to do that is through innovation and entrepreneurship. There is no other way we can achieve that kind of GDPs going forward. In fact, we neglected that for quite some time. So now we have opened our eyes, ears to that, and we are at a very high pace. We are trying to create awareness in innovation and entrepreneurship, from where this word called startup, startup funding, startup awards, whatever, it has come, which is really good for the country. But having said that, there is a lot of buzz that is happening around the startup funding, and startup funding has become a way of validating a product or a company, which is not really a healthy way to go forward. Because before even this startup word has come, this buzz has come, there are so many companies across India who have done organic businesses, who have innovated at every phase on their way towards success, and they have become very big companies. Nobody taught Dhirubhai Ambani how to do business, or nobody taught him that about startup life cycle and all these things. Neither they were like hugely funded, as they started their game. There are many such companies, which can be actually a very good role model. So recently I have been to Gujarat, especially in Surat. If you see, there are many MSMEs, which don't call themselves as startups. They are doing very good organic, worthwhile business than many of the startups that are in the buzz today across different platforms. So that is something you have to realize as entrepreneurs. See, the entrepreneur who can realize this will stay long in the game. Others, maybe 2 to 3 years they play the game, after that they disappear. But if you really want to play a long-term game and create a IPO or a very successful company like Infosys or other companies which can stand even after you, then you have to realize this fact that funding should never be the criteria for you yourself to validate your company or product or whatever it is. This huge amount of focus the founders are having on funding. How much did you raise? How much will I raise? How much grant you got? How much grant I got? When you will become unicorns, unicorn, maybe many other cons will follow. So that's not really healthy, to be honest with you. You prove your point. Maybe with your revenues, whatever you become one day.
Thank you. Nazia, your perspective.
Thank you for the question. First of all, I'll just clear that this will be my own personal opinion. So on this, I think for quite a long time there has been a lot of buzz around the funding thing, and with the VCs putting in a lot of money, I think it's a completely different ball game. I mean, much of these startup models get validated, just like Sir mentioned, on the number of rounds of investments they have raised. However, I think we are very much aware about what all is going on at the moment. We term it as the funding winter. For a long time, VCs had a great pool of money, but with the interest rates being raised by US Fed, I think the pool of money has gotten lesser, and now investors are no longer relying on this the valuation game, but rather encouraging startups or looking at startups which are profit making, which are actually generating revenue. Most of these unicorns that we are having, not many are actually generating profit, and those are not self-sustainable models. But I think the shift has focused now, and it would be a completely different scenario to look at right now, how this entire ecosystem evolves or how this entire funding landscape evolves. Yeah, I think this would be very different for us to see how it goes. But startups, as I believe, I think they should have a self-sustainable model and not just rely on funding from VCs.
Thank you. Priyam?
So, can you please tell me your question again? I kind of missed it.
Yeah, sure. So basically, like in the past couple of years, the number of unicorns, it's been rapidly increasing in the country, and it's the term of startup, the meaning of startup has completely changed. It's become what's the number of fundings or what's the amount of funding you are raising, right? Rather than focusing on the product or focusing more on the business side. And once the funding is raised, most of the startups, I'm not mentioning about all the startups, but most of the startups, they focus more on the branding and marketing side rather than focusing more on the product. I mean, of course, branding and marketing are important, but they seem to be spending a lot of their money and investment on that as well. So what happens is they get a bit distracted from there, and ultimately that results in a couple of things like layoffs for a certain period of time, or many other things are there. They get affected.
So see, for us to be sitting here in this room full and talking about big businessmen and how they are investing so much into branding, I feel like it's a little bit too judgmental. It's more so got to do with where you want to see your company and what you want to do with your company. Right now, for example, if you say a boat, I'm sure you must be knowing about boat, the company owned by Movsta. Now, boat has one of the biggest ambassadors. It has a whole cricket team as an ambassador. It's kind of been the sponsor of whatever cricket was happening right now. I'm sorry, I don't follow cricket so much. And boat's been with the biggest stars, like you call it Disha Patni, Rashmika Mandana, whoever you want to name. You know, boat's been with the biggest stars. Now, is boat burning money while doing that? No. Boat's been profitable since the first year, right? But what does boat want to do, having the biggest ambassadors and having their name everywhere out there? Everybody here has an earphone on them. Everybody here might have a headphone on them. Everybody here might, not everybody, but I'm sure a percentage might have a smartwatch on them. When I'm trying to target a mass product, I need to do that kind of a, like you're talking about spending more on branding and ambassadors. When you are doing a mass product, you probably having ambassadors is the right way to go. Similarly with brands like Dove, Sunsilk, these are brands we use on a daily basis. Now when you want to touch a mass audience, when I'm saying that say 1 billion people in India, my product is such that everybody can use it. Everybody can use Sunsilk, right? From boys to girls, from your mom to me, everybody, your sister, everybody can use Sunsilk, right? So when you're going for a mass product, they acquire these brand ambassadors to have a mass approach, right? Again, to help you understand that, if there is a photo of say Sunsilk with say Aishwarya Rai, people will first look at Aishwarya Rai, then they look at Sunsilk. This is what the brand wants to do. The brand wants to gain attention of everybody in the room. Okay, now I'll give you another example. Now I give you the example of boat, right? Now I'm going to give you an example of Bose, the speakers. Similar industry, one of the best music systems in the world. Bose is in BMW cars, in absolutely the best clubs that you see, and the best earphones. Bose has been voted as the best brand in terms of listening devices, and just the quality of Bose in general. I think it's German made, so it's great and all of that. But now, is Bose looking to be in every year? No. Bose is looking to be at the top tier. Can you afford a 20,000, 25,000 Bose headphone? Maybe 10 in the room can. So does Bose need to do mass marketing campaigns? No, it doesn't. Because when in a room full of 100 people, you're targeting 10 people, you do not need an Amitabh Bachchan or like Salman Khan to do the work, right? You can do it with smaller ambassadors. So there is a difference between why companies choose ambassadors. It's not like they're burning cash, they're getting a ton of money in return with that. So please understand the click rate on celebrities is very, very high. So if they're investing money, that's their business decision. And it's not got anything to do with burning money, to be honest with you. And boat being one of the best examples of having ambassadors, it's spent a crazy amount of money on ambassadors, but there is no bigger brand than boat right now in wearables in India at least. And also now 30-35% of boat products are also exported to all developing nations. That's what it's been, that's what it has done, leveraging marketing the right way, right? So like I said, not everybody is doing it for just having the face. The founder does not get anything, right? You just get to click one photo with your ambassador. You don't get anything. So there is a whole different ball game there with investors and having the ambassadors and how they are spending money. Again, business to business completely differs. Some people raise funds for certain amounts, some people raise funds for stock, some people raise funds for branding and awareness, some raise funds for marketing. It depends on what the company really wants to do with that money. And see, no founder will get money to burn money, right? Especially when you have reached a level, you are very well aware that every money you're picking up from the market, you have to pay 2 or 3 times of it, right? So yeah, nobody's doing it with the intent to burn money, but sometimes things go right, sometimes things go wrong. It's all test and try, right? We look at boat and we learn. We look at boat must have looked at some other brand and they must have learned. So it's a learning game, and sometimes you do fail. Sometimes marketing campaigns do go wrong, but for the most part, nobody has it in mind. Ki, acha, today I want to burn money, so I'm going to hire like an extra for my brand. So that's not the case. And another question of yours was, I think about funding. What was it? You asked, I think, 2 questions, right?
Yeah, actually it was a one question only.
Okay.
So it's like more of the startups. They have a mindset about around raising the funds.
Yeah.
And once they raise the funds, it's they get distracted from rather than focusing more on the product. They their focus gets distracted. This is what has been seen.
Yeah, but I don't believe so. I don't believe that the focus of any company shifts after they pick up money, because they have 10 times more the pressure to make money, right? If their audits are happening monthly, quarterly, they are having audits. Investors, CAs are sitting in the office, so they cannot be potentially wanting to burn money. But like I said, sometimes things go wrong, and sometimes companies plan differently. Every company functions differently. I just gave you an example of 2 companies that are in the same industry having a completely different approach. So yeah, and with having just said the number of unicorns increasing in India, again, it's got a lot to do with the startup culture rising, with VCs kind of putting in money at the right places probably. Now, having said that, not all companies are profitable, and you will see some of the biggest companies' names fade away, because there's only a certain amount of money that you can bleed from a market, right? And you can't go too far away just having a bleeding company. So today or tomorrow, whoever is bleeding will get the right taste of it, to be honest with you, because it cannot survive. You cannot forever survive bleeding, right? So, but what they have done, what's good, and when we talk about the higher number of unicorns, what's good and what we can take away from it is that people are trusting. Entrepreneurs and young people like you and me, people are ready to invest. People know for a fact right now, if you've come with a presentation, a business like an evaluation, you do definitely have something serious going on. So that mindset shift has happened with investors, which is, to be honest, the best for us people. It's great for us. So I feel like that answers your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I would agree with Priyam that the focus doesn't much diverts, but you can say few of a time startup pivot their product to gain more traction. For that they require funding. So to understand this much clear, I would coin an example of an engine. Okay. A vehicle's engine which requires fuel to run, right? So you cannot just eliminate the fuel and will tell that this bike can run. So likewise, with fuel you require few of other things as well, and in a right mixture. So you require air as well to have a right mixture to make it combustible, and the engine can run then, right? So a startups, basically what does an engine do? Engine delivers you value, basically. So a startups has to deliver a value to you to make it upright and running for years and make it a sustainable business model. You can take example of Ola. Ola didn't help me to get me a car. It helped me get me a car while I'm on my bed. So that is where the you can say cross connection of technology with value which was already being delivered. So startups, that's why startups require a lot of money. And you can say, every now and then the CEOs require that much of fund to have that mindset and make the startup running in the same direction. So fewer times it happens that yes, few of the, like you can say, take the example of Ola. They have pivoted their business model to a scooter. Ola scooter came in way after they have launched the app. So why do they require that? To make it a sustainable business model, right? So which however also admitted that yes, the Ola car app was not that sustainable. That's why they have to come up with a bigger model. So that is the reason when you go out and ask for funding. But the problem lies at the very initial stage when a founder doesn't know when to raise the funds. So that is when a company go out and ask for funding randomly. They will ask VCs, they will ask angel investors, but the game is all total reverse in nature. Angel investor approaches startups when they have a good product. So that is what the story should be, and it has been in the same way since last, you can say, 30-40 years. Angel investors, VCs are approaching startups, but fewer times you will see that 100 of startups are applying for a VC, out of which one is getting selected. So VCs works are being relaxed, but I don't think startups are startups don't want to raise money. They have to raise the money because of this spite reason that they have to make it run for the, like you spoke about layoffs. So layoffs doesn't happen because they didn't able to raise the fund. It is a measure of cost cutting, you can say, or you can say a lot of more people are not able to perform very well. So these are some factors where the founders go out and ask for funding. So unicorn, talking about unicorn, nowadays there is a term you will see, cockroaches. So basically VCs are liking cockroaches more than unicorn nowadays, because they also need, post-COVID scenario, they also need a sustainable business model rather than boasting money out of it. So as I previously spoke, delivering value becomes the most important thing, and a startup, how it was different from a conventional model. It came up with the value and the technology as well. So every startup you see, there will be a slight to heavy technological innovation. Then only they have reached a level where you can say, yeah, there are funding. It's a very heavily funded startup. So that is what my take on will be on unicorn you were saying. So that is it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you, sir. Thank you everyone for wonderful answers. The last question before we get into the presentation and demonstration from the INNOVEX incubators. So it's towards Ma'am Nadia ma'am. So how the tax exception act, the tax exception certificate is helping the upcoming startups? How is it helpful, and how is it helps in that building that business?
So there are two different kinds of tax exemption benefits under DPIIT. So the first one, which is Section 80 IC of the Income Tax Act. Let's put it in this way, when companies earn a lot of profit, I think over the years they have to pay huge amounts of taxes, right? So the government is giving a tax exemption. You can apply for the tax exemption for that, so that whatever profit you earn, rather than paying it out as taxes, you get to invest it in your own business, right? That is saving your taxes. So this is very much in layman words. But again, coming to the notification, the tax exemption benefit under this particular section, you can claim for tax exemption benefit for 3 consecutive years within 10 years of the incorporation time. Just as I mentioned, there is an ambit within which your entity will be called a startup. This 3 consecutive years can be picked by the startup. Generally in most cases, but we personally see is that the initial years when the startups do not generate a lot of profit, that's why they do not pick those consecutive years. They have the liberty to pick it as and when they feel that they want to save their taxes. 3 consecutive years, anything, let's say 2023, 24, 25, 3 years they can pick, but again given
10-year incorporation. Secondly, we also have another tax, which is tax exemption for raising investments above fair market value. So that is a self-declaration wherein the startups declare themselves that whatever investments that they are raising, they will not invest in any of the personal assets. And by doing so, they can claim for tax exemption on that as well. So these are the two different types of tax benefits that a particular startup can look at.
Thank you, ma'am. So, for the running time, unfortunately, we have to end this panel's round. So now we will start the
Now we get into that CTEF INNOVEX Incubators Introduction and Demonstration session. This would be a 5-minute demonstration from them. First, we have. Oh, we will wait for.
Thank you so much all.